come back here to the state of Florida, where Ron DeSantis felt like he needed to run for president, and so 15 weeks wasn't good enough. We had to go to 6 weeks.
Unbelievable. For more than 2,000 years, the Roman Catholic Church has endured. It has survived war and schism, scandal, and powerful movements to reject Christ's teaching. The Biden era, however, has laid bare a weakening core of the church in these perilous times. Perhaps it's tied to the church's support for the administration's illegal immigration, or it's just that the church fears the secular left. But whatever the reason, the church is paralyzed by the heresy of the nation's second Catholic president, who is committing crimes against canon law while it fails to act. What should have been a victory for the Catholic Church has turned into a nightmare. Faithful Catholics, however, should know that according to church law, Mr. Biden is excommunicated. Canon 1364 says that heretics are excommunicated latae sententiae, that is, that they are automatically excommunicated by their actions. Mr. Biden's advocacy for left-wing policies deny fundamental teachings of the church. His rejection of church teaching is also a rejection of the sanctity and the indivisibility of the human person. Okay, Catholics believe that faith is not separable from one's actions. Catholicism is a comprehensive worldview that is also fully personal as to attach to everything that one does in this life. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops have placed a special responsibility on public officials, saying that adherence to church teaching requires, quote, a heroic commitment on the part of Catholics who are politicians and other leaders in society. But many of today's Democrats in public life reject the indivisibility of the person. Mr. Biden believes that he can be one person in a pew on Sunday and another in the Oval Office. Now, some would ask about whether those Catholics who support some measure of legal abortion are therefore also excommunicated. And the answer is no, very clearly no. Such an excommunication requires an action, not merely a belief or holding a particular position. Mr. Biden has not merely held the belief that abortion is acceptable and should be advanced. He also believes transgenderism is acceptable. He has established policies to encourage the commission of these sins. St. Pope John Paul II said that Catholics can work to correct an evil even if that correction is incomplete. But working to increase an evil like the sterilization of children or abortion is never acceptable. Mr. Biden and Catholic Democrat leaders are wrong to suggest that you can be in communion with the Catholic Church personally while advocating for policies such as abortion, euthanasia, the existence of more than two genders, and other radical policies that are against biblical teaching. Mr. Biden's administration has also been exposed for attacking the church itself as an institution, targeting Catholics with law enforcement, treating them as extremists, and he's also continued the Obama-era attacks on religious freedom of Catholic institutions. It is increasingly clear that many Catholic Democrats practice a politically convenient Catholic nominalism that is more for the cameras than really being a soldier for Christ. For Mr. Biden's own good and for the good of the faithful, his home bishop, in this case Cardinal Wilton Gregory of Washington, D.C., or Bishop William Koenig, who covers his home diocese in Delaware, should announce publicly that Mr. Biden has incurred excommunication by his actions. However, Cardinal Gregory is a political liberal who has only offered tepid criticism of Mr. Biden. Bishop Koenig indicated in 2021 that he would rather educate Mr. Biden on Catholic teaching about abortion, as if that were necessary, rather than deny him communion. Canon law was expanded to empower bishops to publicly excommunicate officials in 1983. And Catholics should be concerned that church leaders have refused to act here. The Vatican is also complicit here in trying not to offend Mr. Biden, Democrats, or Catholics generally. In 2021, Cardinal Luis Ladaria of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith in Rome told the U.S. bishops that, quote, it would be misleading if such a statement were to give the impression that abortion and euthanasia alone constitute the only grave matters that demand the fullest level of accountability. Really? What could be graver than leading the largest government apparatus in history with a global platform for articulating public policy and using it to advance a culture of death and human degradation. Mr. Biden and his party are now engaged in a re-election campaign that emphasizes abortion. He and his party and their apparatchiks in the press are doubling down on transgenderism and the legalized sterilization of children. Elements within the Democratic Party support euthanasia, legal prostitution, further eroding the definition of marriage. His complicity in advancing agendas our Savior and his church have warned would lead to the destruction of souls is incontrovertible. A public announcement of excommunication of a head of state is rare, I get it. But it was done. It's been done many times. It was done for Fidel Castro. It was done for Juan Perón of Argentina for wanting to legalize prostitution and divorce. Those were minor leaders in comparison to Mr. Biden and his power and influence. Precedent and canon law make clear a case for formal public excommunication for the good of the president and all faithful Catholics. Mr. Biden has turned the faith into a prop and rejected Christ's truth for a moral relativism that he tries to veil with the sign of the cross. Given the church's retreat from its days as a moral compass willing to challenge secular political leaders, it is likely that it will be left to God to judge him. But make no mistake, Mr. Biden's thirst for power has led to his self-excommunication. He should be branded by all faithful Catholics as a heretic and a threat to the church rather than a devout member of the faith. It's the least that we can do if church leaders are afraid to act.